So this is a story I've told people maybe 50 times, like 50 different people. So I'm hoping that this is the last time that I tell the story, or I can just be like, yo, like I made a YouTube video about it. Please just go watch that video. It'll tell you everything that you need to know.
Hey guys, this channel is called Today I Made a Mistake, and we are out here just making mistakes as we go through our lives. It will either be a good time or it's gonna be a good story.
I'm going to try cover everything in as much detail that's necessary. Disclaimer, there's a disclaimer. So this is going to be about a company that I previously worked at. Right now, while I'm recording this video, I still work at this company, but I have handed in my resignation. And there's been a long journey. I just wanted to add that I absolutely loved working at the company, and I always felt valued at this company and very supportive. And this is not a reflection on them, but what my experience was and what I learned from it, because that's the best thing for me. My psychologist, she asked me if I could go back in time, would I take it all back and not go through this? And I said to her, like, no, I wouldn't, because this needed to happen in order for me to change my life and for me to be the person that I am. And it's just like another part of my story right now, and I'm grateful for it. And again, you make the mistake, or you learn, you grow, and I'm very, very happy with who I am right now. So I mean, this is probably the conclusion to the video. But yeah, let's go. In September 2020, we had just come from a lockdown, and it was intense. I wanted to quit my job. In September 20, I had felt like I'd been through a lot in that year. We were overworking. We were working like 14 to 16 hours. I was going to bed, not sleeping, waking up, doing it again, working on the weekend. You're not disconnecting. I was literally a zombie. I remember once walking into the room and saying to my sister, like, I can hear the lights buzzing, because I had I had had so much coffee that my brain was like shaking in my head. But yeah, I had a manager that, on top of everything we were going through and how hard we were working, just intensified it a little bit more with what felt like manipulation and what was lies, in order for us to work harder and work longer and do extra work when it was already a stressful time. So that led to a lot of burnout and what I'm now calling trauma, because you feel completely inadequate even though you're working so much. You can't stop. Your brain is constantly in a work mode and a stress mode, so you're constantly anxious. So there were changes that were made, basically. Like, it was a lot of changes that happened at the same time. Started working on this new role, which was like more than 4 times bigger than my previous role. Plus, I was working in South Africa with people in different parts of the world. It was just a whole new world. I am not kidding. Every single day, even on the weekends, I would just wake up and just hope that it was a better day. Just like praying that today will be a good day. Like, nothing's gonna stress me out, or something's gonna go right. I'm gonna add value to the business. I'm gonna be helpful. And it never felt that way. I would end off that day just wanting to curl up and roll up into my bed and just it was hard. It was so hard. I had this plan for myself. I'd move to a new country. I would go, I bought a car, I bought a house, I'd done all the things. I was a career woman, I was ambitious, I was doing the things that I wanted. I was working for a multinational corporate. I've always wanted that. I was in marketing. I was working on huge brands. My career and my career path was amazing, but I was not happy. I had not been happy for a very long time. And one of the moments that was very significant to me was when my psychologist asked me, when was the last time that you were bored? And I thought about it and I was just like, sheesh. Because at least for the last 2 years, if not the last 5 years that I was working, I always had something to do. So I was always working, and then when I wasn't working, I was thinking about work. But I had to disconnect. I wanted to see my friends. I wanted to hang out. I wanted to chill. I needed to rest. I needed to sleep. So there was not a moment where I had absolutely nothing to do and I was bored. That was a very significant realization for me, that like I haven't been bored for a long time because I've just been working and just like going and moving forward. So by the end of December 2022, I was exhausted. I was tired. I was unhappy. I had many moments where I would like call my mentors and be like, I can't do this. And they would have to like push me through and motivate me and help me. And seeing my psychologist, I just really wasn't in a good space. I felt very hopeless. I couldn't understand why the job that I've always wanted, and the multinational and moving countries, and I've bought a car, bought a house, whatever. Like, I know these are very materialistic things, but this was what it was the plan for my life, and achieving the goals and getting the content from that. My family was good. My friends were happy. Well, you know, like, life was good, but I was not good. I was not good. I was very unhappy. And I felt very hopeless. I know these are all like symptoms of depression, and people tell you like, you're hopeless, but I didn't like the work that I used to love, and I didn't understand that. I was unhappy, but I couldn't say like, oh, this is the thing. That I just felt it in my body, that I was just like almost empty, but not empty because you're so anxious. And I didn't understand why I was going through this pain every day, and why I was putting myself through this pain every day, and what was locking me in. Why was I staying here? So many people could look at my life and be like, why are you working till so late? Why are you yeah. So in January I went back because I had stopped seeing my psychologist for a bit when I moved. And January I went back to see her, and when I told her, she was like, okay, we've been seeing each other for a year now, and you know, your state has deteriorated from when I started seeing you in 2020, and I think you need to go see a psychiatrist because I cannot diagnose you. So I immediately went to see a psychiatrist because I knew the state that I was in, but I think I also always had hope of like, I just need to get through this, or I just need to rest, I just need to sleep, and then I'll feel better. Instead of thinking that it was a long-term thing that required a lot more help than I was stepping back and giving myself or allowing myself to take. So I went immediately to the psychiatrist, and we had a 1.5 hour session, because that's how your first session will be, so they can get to know you, like what's going on, and properly diagnose you. And literally at the end of my session, my psychiatrist was like, okay, so you've not been taking any medication while you've been going, you haven't been on any drugs, like how have you been going without medication and drugs? And like, there were many moments where people said things to me that just stood out to me, and I was like, how have I been? Like, I was just running on empty and going, just kept going. Like, the adrenaline was just there. But like, more importantly, so there was quite a journey that I had been on, from going through the trauma at work to getting help from specialists to actually having a conversation with people in my life that I would say cared, because they noticed the change and what was happening and what I was doing to myself. And although I knew what I was doing, I wasn't stopping it. And I guess I'm the only person that can help myself. One of my senior directors, he was like, let's go for coffee. And I didn't quite understand why he was so adamant on like meeting and connecting. And and had connects with so many people, because obviously now I wasn't performing at work because even though I was working crazy hours, my work wasn't good. I remember just having so many meetings with people where I just didn't have the answers, and I was like, why am I here? What value am I adding here? And that whole cycle is so toxic, because you yourself and your own critic is like so hard on yourself, and then other people are like, what the fuck is this? Or you think they're saying, what the fuck is this? And then it's just like this bad cycle of doubt and inadequacy. It's horrible to lead to unhappiness, but you're burnt out, so you can't even restore yourself. So anyway, had this connect with this senior director, and when I told him the same story that I've just told you, and he was like, you're on medication, you're seeing specialists, like, I'm very concerned right now. You should be taking care of yourself. If you die, the company will replace you. Like, if you go out of here and you're in a car accident, you're gonna be replaced pretty soon. So take care of yourself. Like, and it's crazy, like, you hear this a lot, take care of yourself. Make sure you're drinking water, make sure you're sleeping, eat properly. It's very, very much a rhetoric, but I felt like I had permission after he said that to me. And that's another thing that I would look back on and be like, why did I need somebody else to give me permission to take care of myself? Why did I feel like I needed to push through and just keep going, and this is just a phase, I just need to sleep and then it'll be fine, when I wasn't sleeping or not even eating properly, just eating when I was supposed to. I'd stopped listening to my body when it was hungry, when it was tired. I was drinking coffee. I was just going. So that was the beginning of my journey. I honestly, when I was so unhappy and hopeless, I thought I was broken and that I would never be repaired, but that was the beginning of me turning my life around a bit and just becoming the person that I am today. Super, super grateful for that conversation, because there were many people along this journey that have helped me and that I'm so grateful for, and I think I have told them. I'm so grateful that I had friends and family and people just to catch me like a safety net. Like, they always knew I was gonna fall, and they kept trying to warn me and trying to speak to me, but I wasn't listening. I was doing my thing. People can't tell me what to do. I'm gonna do what I want to do. I know I've thought of all these scenarios. I know I could have a breakdown, but I'm not broken. And then when I fell, so grateful that, like, there was a safety net. So I literally had to reset my whole life. Following that conversation, I think I spent about 4 months working on myself, and that meant going to like clinics and seeing many specialists. So besides my psychologist and psychiatrist, a whole lot of other doctors. I had to take a break off work. I was off work to date, I've been off work for like 4 months. And that's wild, that like I've worked myself into a place where I cannot physically work for 4 months. It was great though, great break. Learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about how to deal with my situation. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this, but like, I was diagnosed with depression. I remember when I also went to a psychiatrist, I hate taking medication, but I had reached a point where I was like, give me everything that I need. I just need to be okay. I just don't want to be broken anymore. Just like things that I found interesting about the situation is how people started to treat me after they found out that I had depression. Like, why are you talking to me in a slower and softer tone? Like, I've been depressed for the last 2 years, my guy. Like, do you think like what you're saying to me is not gonna make me feel sad or depressed? I might feel sad, but that's not the reason I'm depressed. What you've said to me doesn't have an effect on my depression. It's like a chemical imbalance in my brain, which I'm trying to now regulate. For me, my depression was, I think, as a result of burnout. I had overworked myself into such a state that I started to feel inadequate and hopeless and show signs of depression. And it was like a domino effect. It was a domino effect. I went from anxiety and stress because of the situation that I was in and how I was living, to burnout because I wasn't taking care of myself and my body, to depression because I probably like run out of all the resources from a mental, emotional, physical capacity, and that's when I went into a slump. And that was what I had to do with all of that, like reverse it, restore it, which is what I'm working on right now. And it's definitely the beginning, and I'm so like happy and so like hopeful, so excited about life. And yeah, so it like does, it definitely gets better, but you have to take the steps. First, acknowledge and realize that you're in this situation, and then like get help. I kind of get it, not everybody understands what depression is, and we have more conversations about it right now, which is so great. Because if I say to someone I'm depressed, I've found from like older people, they're like, what the hell is this depression thing? Like, you're sad, just be happy. But from the younger generation, they're very accepting, very compassionate, very like open to hear, not dismissive of your feelings. That's great, that's awesome, that's cool. Sometimes it's a bit frustrating when you share something with someone and they have no feelings about it, because I'm just like, aren't you sad? Like, this is a sad story that I'm telling you. Yeah, so some of the things that helped me, let me tell you. I started seeing a psychologist first, because that helped me like validate myself, my thoughts, the situation that I was going through. She was the person who first called it trauma, and like that is what it is. Then I went to my psychiatrist, where I started getting medication, and she like regulated, because I told you I went from anxiety to burnout to depression. She regulated my anxiety. The burnout part is kind of like you have to start taking care of yourself. So like eating and sleeping, and just like self-care is not go have a bubble bath and light a candle. It could be if you wanted to be that, but self-care is just like, what are the easy things that you can do that are good for you? You need to sleep right now, go sleep. That's self-care. You need to see somebody because you need to feel energized, go do that. You need to go for a walk because you haven't been outside in a while, and it's like those are all self-care. Like the simple, like if you haven't brushed your teeth in a few days, like go brush your teeth. Like that's self-care. And I don't mean to sound like somebody who's telling you what to do, but if you were wondering, this is my unsolicited advice. My social media platform, like what I did was I started following pages that spoke about mental health and anxiety, depression, and burnout, because it was helpful, because it made me feel a bit seen, because I would read something and be like, yes, that's what I have, that's me. And I like, you do go through this thing where you feel like you're the only one, like, why am I depressed? Why am I not able to push through it? So many other people are pushing through it. Why am I breaking down? But when you see something created by someone random that you don't even know, that's not even your friend, and they like understand, it's super helpful, because sometimes the people in your circle don't know what it is, and even with them trying to be understanding, it sometimes comes off as patronizing. So like, it's okay. Social media is not really a bad place. You can make it a healthy place. Even me just like realizing that I had depression, before I even went to the psychologist, I realized that I was depressed because I watched a YouTube video on 6 ways to know if you have depression, and I was watching it for somebody else, but then I was like, oh fuck, actually that's me. I went to this thing called the Day Clinic. It's in Saxonwold in Johannesburg, and it's basically like this not like week, but like 5 days sorry, in a week, from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. You're seeing specialists, learning stuff. It was cool because I got to see like psychologists, psychiatrists, occupational therapists, dietitians, sensory therapists. I didn't even know, but that thing is so cool. I did that blotch test thing, you know, where they're like, what do you see here? And it's always an insect, but they're like, and now what do you see? There's some color, what do you see now? Yeah, but seeing all the specialists helped me understand myself. And there was a really important part of the day clinic which taught you how to like manage and deal and cope. I'm not gonna teach people what I learned there because it's also a personal journey. Even though you might see the same people that I saw, your journey is going to be different. I think in the beginning it was daunting. Yeah, I remember being so exhausted. By the end of it, you feel you know how you're going to get better. And that is a good place to be in. Just go do that. Also read Atomic Habits. That was also helpful for me. But like going to the day clinic, then reading Atomic Habits, seeing my psychologist, all those things really, really helped me. Oh, my company. I think they could have easily been like, you're not performing, get the fuck out of here. They didn't. I mean, the senior manager was the first person that said to me like, a lot of people, maybe he was the first person I listened to. He was like, go take a break. And that is so important for your company to see that you are going through something and then be like, please take a break. Please take care of yourself and mean it. Because I've also had people in my company who are like, yeah, I'll take a break. You must take care of yourself. You must exercise it. But not meant it. It felt like a script. Yeah. My company was very supportive of me taking the break, getting the help. They wanted me to come back. Unfortunately, like I mentioned, I did resign. I went through everything I went through at the company, but they did what they could. And what's also very cool is that they're now also trying to learn from my situation so that other people can be helped. But I do think that there's always somewhere that you can go if you can't afford therapy. Like what I also wouldn't do is like just diagnose yourself with depression and then I'm depressed. Like some of the stuff is very consumer driven, where they're like, go walk outside, go in the sun and have a bubble bath. Like, okay, I've done my bubble bath and walking outside and being in the sun, and like I feel this much better. Those also to me are like very temporary fixes. The long-term fixes are like truly understand what you're not giving yourself. For me, it was I'm not eating properly. I'm not properly in the sense of like I need to eat lettuce and carrots and vegetables and fruit. Properly in the sense of like the basic thing of like I'm not even listening to my body when I'm hungry. I'm not listening to my body when I'm full. Or sleeping, like going to bed and just like lie awake and try and fall asleep. And I think it is a little bit hard for me to speak about, which is why I also kind of want to create this video, because I'm telling this story. I'm tired of being like this. Yeah. So that's it from me. I think the mistake that I made, lots of mistakes in this case, but ultimately it was working in corporate, but I don't have any regrets. I learned and grew so much, and I don't think I would have ever, like, had I been overworking but maintaining it, I would never have gone through this growth and this like different version, because my values have kind of changed from who I always wanted to be, this corporate girl, to like I need to take care of myself first. It sounds like a thing that like everyone says, but I'm like really enjoying life right now, and I was enjoying it when I used to work. I'm enjoying something different. There's a different side of me now. Hopefully gonna share some of the resources, and if you have any questions, just like ask. I love giving people advice. I love helping people. I love it. So no question is too hard. No question is too silly.